Hello, everyone. Chag Sameach, Chag Hanukkah Sameach. Thank you so much for attending our virtual Hanukkah 2020. I'm so excited to be here with Lucy and with Caroline. And thanks to Kim and Mark and everyone behind the scenes at Valeria. But it's a really special time for us for the next 30 minutes. I know there's a lot going on in the world. So this is a moment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. A lot to talk about. So Hanukkah is the festival of light. It's an opportunity to shine light in the darkness. And Hanukkah has two basic meanings. One is a God miracle and one's a man miracle. And the man miracle is the underdog victory. Who is the hero in Hanukkah?
You tell us that.
Judah Maccabee.
Oh, but
so he defeated the Syrian Greeks in 164. It started with Modin. His father was forced to eat a pig. He said, I'm not doing that. And so they weren't trying to destroy the Jews. They were trying to destroy our ideas. And so it was the underdog victory. And that's the man miracle. And the God miracle was what? Having to do with the menorah.
It stayed lit for 8 days.
8 days.
wow.
So there was only enough oil for one night, and it lasted for 8 nights. And 8, if you turn it on its side, infinity, which means forever. So light shines forever, and if you have faith, it will sustain you forever. So we actually have 2 really special menorahs. What's this menorah?
Marilyn Monroe's menorah. Triple M. Magical, meaningful, and memorable.
This is Marilyn Monroe's menorah. And actually, Mark with Breaking Matzo, this is the first blog he wrote about Marilyn Monroe. I think that there's 2 very famous Jewish converts. Marilyn Monroe converted to Judaism. She married Arthur Miller in 1956, converted to Judaism, and then they got divorced. She sadly passed away in 1962. This was on her shelf in her house until she passed away. Very, very meaningful to her. Who is another very famous Jewish convert? Who's the first Jewish convert? Abraham. Abraham was the first Jewish convert. And so that's one special menorah. We're really fortunate to have it. It also plays the Hatikva, which is meaningful. This menorah is from Curacao. And I went there in February, and believe it or not, the temple mikveh in Curacao is the oldest temple in the Western Hemisphere. It started in 1703. It was rebuilt. It wasn't big enough. So in 1732, they have a menorah there that was first lit in 1716, and it's been lit every year since then. I'm not so good at math, but if it started in 1716, it's over 300 years old. So we have the oldest menorah in the Western Hemisphere. We have candle in the wind with Marilyn Monroe. We can light this. And first, Caroline, Lucy, want to with the shamash?
Yeah.
So we start with the shamash.
Hanukkah.
And then we say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehianu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Blessed art thou, Lord God, King of the universe, who brings us the special first time day, first time moment of lighting the menorah. We're going to light this one as well. It's the oldest menorah in the Western Hemisphere. That's a pretty good tradition. 300 years old, and we did it again. And so for this one, we say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shenasani tzim lavatenu v'yamin. Amen. L'zman hazeh. Blessed art thou, Lord, the God, King of the universe, who brings us the festival of light, and the Shehechianu Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you for bringing us the special first-time moment, not sad or routine. You have a sense of adventure, and you mark the moment and express gratitude. I'm incredibly grateful that we're able to be here together to celebrate.
Me too.
And then we have the wine from Castel wine, delicious, from Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam. Blessed are thou, Lord God, King of the universe, who brings us hagafen from suffering grapes to soaring celebratory wine. In every moment of celebration, we acknowledge the suffering that came from before us. So I'm going to open it up because I think that the other thing that I want to share, which is very meaningful, I just returned from a peace mission in the United Arab Emirates. And thanks to the historic Abraham Accords, Bahrain, where I've been going for 21 years, Israel for over 21 years, and United Arab Emirates have reached peace along with Sudan and today Morocco. So we've had 4 peace agreements in the past 6 weeks, and it's beautiful to have people come together and to celebrate, although you may have differences. Hagar and Ishmael were kicked out by Abraham 5,000 years ago, and now brothers by different mothers are back together. So it's incredibly beautiful. And Kim, are you able to play that video easily or not?
I am.
So what I'm going to show is a celebration by the King of Bahrain of lighting the menorah in the palace in 2015, the first celebration of Hanukkah since 1948. So Kim, if you just play that video real quick for them to see it, I think it sets the mood, and then we're going to move forward with a reflection. Are you? So we're going to do our discussion question at the end. I'm going to put it out there because there's like 8 of them that we have. And so it is a man miracle and a God miracle. And so if people want to think about a miracle, no matter big or small, that happened in your life, that you acknowledge and want to share it with, we can do that at the end. So with that, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Caroline Lucy to take us through the other rest of the program.
Great, thanks, Dad. Yeah, so I think we'll show you 2 things today, and then we can talk about the discussion question if anyone has answers to that. The first thing I wanted to show was the classic Hanukkah dish.
Latkes.
Latkes. We're so excited. We really love having them, and we have branched out a little bit in our family, and we have made multiple different kinds. And so our recipe for the potato latkes, I'm not going to make them here in front of you because it's a little messy, but hopefully you can make them at home or making them sometime in the next couple of days. For us, we use what's in here, which are potatoes, we use onions, we use carrots, and we use eggs. We throw in a little bit of matzo meal as well, salt and pepper, and then we have 3 different types. So that's our most kind of basic kind, our classic latke. We also, in our family, have made zucchini latkes as well. And so we make those really similarly. We use zucchinis, we use onions, we use egg. We can even throw in cheese sometimes to mix it up. And then we also fry those the same way. And we also have sweet potato ones here as well. So we just want to show you our different latkes that we're going to go fry up right after this. And we know everyone has kind of different latke recipes in their family, so this has been ours for a long time. And all the recipes are in our cookbook, which is magical, meaningful, and memorable. And there's also some other recipes in there too, like I mentioned, for the sweet potato, and for even potato and cheddar latkes and things like that we like to do in our family. Basically one of our most fun traditions I remember doing when we were really young. And the house smells like fried oil for days.
Wow, I can't wait to eat those later.
Yeah. And obviously we have applesauce and sour cream for whichever people like, but you have to have both options.
Or you mix them.
Amazing.
Am I doing my DIY?
Yes.
Okay, so Caroline's really the chef, so I'm coming in with some arts and crafts. This is a DIY, make your own edible dreidel. So the ingredients you need are
He's taking a picture.
marshmallows, pretzel sticks, Hershey's Kisses, and this is spreadable honey, which I'm actually very excited about because I love honey.
Yeah, I think we also, sometimes we use caramel sauce, which is I think what's online. But we have honey, we don't have caramel sauce around.
So what you do is you first get the honey. So the honey's like glue. You get some honey, and then you open a Hershey's Kiss. Wow, what an exciting process.
We also have some food coloring up there that you can see. You can also color them if you want.
Open the Hershey's Kiss and you put it on so it has that little shape. Then you do a little more honey, making a marshmallow even sweeter. You stick a pretzel in it and bam! And it even spins.
It spins a little.
That's it. And you can play dreidel with it and get even more chocolate. How sweet.
So that's our arts and crafts. We also love playing dreidel. We played growing up all the time during Hanukkah. And Lucy is very good at dreidel, but also very competitive. And I was also good, but less competitive. So
I just wanted the chocolate.
yeah, so those are some arts and crafts that we want to share with you. And obviously law fest, which are so important for Hanukkah.
So we did a little bit of dreidel. That's the DIY dreidel. Do you want to talk about what the dreidel is? We have this.
I'll just keep making my dreidels.
Caroline?
I don't know. Yeah, so we also play dreidel at home. As you probably know, it's a really fun game, and I've actually had a lot of success bringing it around, and even to friends who have never played dreidel before. It's a really fun thing to do. And you spin the dreidel and see where it lands, and that dictates what you do with your pot of gold, which is just chocolate gelt. And it's just a really fun game.
And what's one of the reasons that people play the dreidel?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, one interpretation is they were not allowed to study Torah, so they would play the dreidel as a way of providing a cover. While they were inside studying. So sometimes in life, there may be things that you're proud of in private, but not proud in public. And so one of the discussions is there something that you do in private that you wouldn't do in public? And how do you really bring your full self authentically, into the world with pride and joy, sing it loud and proud. And then the letters on the dreidel are what? Nes Gadol.
Nun, Shin, Hey, and Gimel. So if it's your turn, you really don't want to get the Nun. You'd really prefer to get the Gimel, but the other ones will be okay too.
And it stands for a great miracle happened
here,
or great miracle happened there, depending on whether you're in Israel, the promised land, or whether you're in the rest of the world. So that's a bit of background. I think, Kim, we have a little bit of time now. We can go into the discussion questions if people have those.
Are you opening it to any discussion or a particular question?
I think that the question was a miracle that you had in your life, but at the same time, if people have something that they want to share or ask, we can do that too.
Okay, great. If anyone would like to discuss the discussion question or anything else about the holiday with Andy and his daughters, just unmute and we can open it up for discussion.
I have a question. My question is, what are the different ways that Reform, Orthodox, and Conservative celebrate Hanukkah? Is there a difference between the different denominations and their customs?
Part of me just wants to say, I don't know, because they're labels, and it really comes from within yourself. So I don't think that there's a lot of rules that really have significance. And I think if you light the menorah, that's very important. And you do it generally in a public way, you put it in the window. So lighting the menorah, enjoying the light, whether you do it alone or with others, having some connection with oil, whether it's frying a latke or eating a donut, is pretty customary. And then having some reflection that it's the winter solstice holiday where you're shining the light. So I'm not really giving you a specific answer. There's 613 mitzvot. There's 365 don'ts and 248 do's, 248 bones in the body, 365 days of the week. And my belief, days in the year, my belief
Sometimes it feels
is that if you do all of them, that's a little bit tough. If you do none of them, that's not great. So maybe there's a sweet spot of between 120 and 210. I don't know, it depends on the person. And find the ones that have significance and meaning. And I wouldn't worry so much about the label of a reform or an Orthodox or things like that. Find something that meets your needs at your time. And that's why in the Holocaust, they lit the menorah in the concentration camps as a sign of dedication. So I hope that provides some answer, which is just my personal opinion.
Yes, that's helpful. Thank you.
And
Love you, Gabby.
if someone says that you're doing it differently, then there's no judge in Judaism. Anyone at King Solomon? Any other comments? I will say, when we posted on Breaking Matzah about Marilyn Monroe's menorah, one of our community members, family members, was her tailor
Wow.
Wow.
and used to go to her house. That was beautiful. Other, was that Gabby?
Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah. Any other questions or comments from the group? I'll share a miracle, a man miracle and a God miracle was me being able to make peace between Arabs and Israelis. And that was very
Maybe
meaningful.
you should open it up for everyone.
That was very meaningful to me to see the birth of both my daughters, but then also the birth of peace. So that was really beautiful. Other people want to share or comment?
I don't,
Caroline, do you want to share what we're waiting?
What it sounds like?
no,
Saying
nothing, no, it's Kim, nothing in the chat. So if Caroline, go ahead.
Sure, I mean, I think, let's see, there's so many like small things to be thankful for these days. I think one fun thing is, maybe it's not quite a miracle, but I think in these times, we've all kind of found different things that make us happy or been able to try things we haven't. And my dad and I have had a really great time texting each other our recipes that we've been making, I would say, over the past few months. And to me, that's been kind of a miracle in its own way. It's something, we both love cooking, as you maybe can tell. And it's been a really nice kind of thing that we've been able to do, and a miracle that we were able to kind of bring our passions together and just have a lot of fun texting each other and sharing pictures and advice and magazines. So that's been a way that kind of these times have brought about a new kind of miracle for me.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, what about you, Lucy? It's kind of a big question.
Miracle. I think for me this year, having, everything kind of slow down, usually my life is like pretty fast paced, I'm young, I'm in college. But now things are kind of just slowed down, and it gives you more time to kind of think and reflect, and though the circumstances are quite unfortunate, there's still a lot of silver linings. And I would say there have been tiny moments that have been kind of miracles that I would definitely not have had otherwise had I not had all of this free time. So I would say that it's kind of these little moments that I never would have expected to have that feel like miracles.
Yeah. I'll
Any,
share one other miracle that happened. That speaking of what you were saying, Lucy, about noticing things that maybe we didn't get to notice before. Actually, just a couple nights ago, I found that there was a raccoon on my deck of my apartment, and that was something where I thought to myself, have I never seen one before, or have I just never, had the time to look? And it was a really fun and just like special moment, like Lucy mentioned, of trying to slow down and notice things we didn't notice before.
Other people might have been afraid of the raccoon, but they looked at it as a miracle.
Moving beyond miracles, someone did ask me, how do you make vegan latkes? And I just want to put it out there. We should post it, Kim. But an egg substitute is chia seeds with water.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so if you do 3 tablespoons of chia seeds in water, that's pretty much equivalent to 1 egg. You need a binding agent for the latkes. So in the case anyone's wondering, because someone asked me the other day, did any question or comment come up Kim?
No, I don't see anything in the chat. Oh, Maria is asking, what is Israel like this time of year? And how many times have you visited, Andy?
So I've been to, how many times have I been to Israel? Well, I'll tell you that I've been going to the Gulf, Bahrain and United Arab Emirates, 1 to 2 times a year for 21 years. And I've been going to Israel twice as long as that. So I've probably been to Israel, I don't know, could be 50 times. What is it like this time of year? Well, Israel's the promised land. Anytime you get to go, it's unbelievable. It is the spiritual home for Jews, Christians, and Muslims, all within one football field. If you take the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Western Wall, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, it's incredible how close it is. In terms of Hanukkah, it's actually kind of a time a lot of people travel. So it is an opportunity. Actually, this year there'll be 150,000 Israelis going to the United Arab Emirates, which is incredible. And so it is a beautiful time to be in Israel. Interestingly, Hanukkah is a home holiday, which is one of the reasons we do it for breaking matzah. So it's not it's not where you go to the synagogue. It's not like you read the Megillah for Purim. It's not Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. It's really a home-based tradition that you do for 8 nights. So it does give you a lot of flexibility to celebrate with a lot of people. So from that standpoint, you'll definitely see a lot of gatherings, and it's very celebratory. And I've been there in Israel during Hanukkah. I've been in a lot during Hanukkah, and that's actually one thing. We've always traveled with our menorah. Last year we were in Hawaii. We took our menorah. We've always traveled with the menorah. And in fact, I travel with my menorah socks. So I got my socks with my menorah and dreidels, and then I have my peace socks with the Star of David.
Oh, so it's purposely mismatching. That's so hip and funky.
Yeah, exactly. So I think wherever you go, you can bring Israel with you because it's the spiritual homeland. And wherever you go, you can bring Hanukkah with you because you bring a dreidel and you bring a menorah. And just like that. Other questions? Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments, Kim?
None that I can see. Anyone want to open up their lines for any last minute comments or questions?
Well, we have a funny story. We were skiing in Colorado, and I was going
Is that
up.
Michael?
Yeah. We were going up the chairlift to Telluride, and the girl that was going up with us was Israeli, and it was Hanukkah, and we brought our menorah with us. I asked her what she's doing for a menorah this year. She said, "Oh, I'm taking a beer can and putting candles in it, and that's my menorah."
Wow, we should do that.
So this is Michael Fish, which is the Goldfarb family and the Fish family. And so in Breaking Matzah, you read a lot about Max Fish, which is our shared ancestor and a hero. Saved many family members during the Holocaust, bring them over. And my first Passovers I always celebrated with Michael and his family. And I will say that my older brother Lawrence found the Afikoman every single year. I've never once found the Afikoman. And the question is that a happy or a sad story?
It's a happy story.
For Lawrence.
Sorry.
It can be a bit of both, and that's part of the mystery of life. But for me, it encouraged the opportunity to make, I'm looking for the Afikoman for my kids, a celebratory community experience. But anyway, Michael, thank you for joining as well. It's great to be able to share with family, even if it's virtual. What I do want to remind people of is that this is the Festival of Light. It is the light during the winter solstice in the darkness. And a lot of the biblical holidays have to do with the changing of the seasons. In the fall for Sukkot, abundance, in the spring, the harvest, and the planting for Passover. And during dark times, light always wins. And I will acknowledge that there's darkness in certain parts of the world or certain part of our souls or certain part of our minds. There's some great light, the peace that's happened in the Middle East between Arabs and Israelis. There's also a lot of other light if you choose to light it and look. But regardless, light in Genesis happened before anything, and it's the proverbial light, not just the physical light. And so I think that has a lot of meaning for me of why Hanukkah is so important. I think that we're wrapping up because we want to be respectful of people's times. Kim, if there's any last minute questions or comments, we're definitely open to it. Otherwise,
Kayla has one question. What advice would you give to someone celebrating Hanukkah for the first time?
Wow, that's a great question.
I'm going to let my kids give their answer first.
I think the couple of things that I would do if you were celebrating for your first time would be to get a menorah, and like we heard in that story, you can make a menorah out of it, almost anything. You just get some candles, really, and I would try to light that. And if you can, I would play some version of dreidel. I think it's really fun, and it's a fun way to get into the holiday, to play a game, to do something fun and different. And then the last thing is you want to eat oil in some way.
Yeah.
So you could make some latkes, you could eat some donuts, you could eat some French fries, but we try to celebrate with oil so that we can remember the oil that lasted for 8 days. So any kind of fried food. So pretty good things. Light some candles, you can eat some fried food, play some
Lucy,
games.
any comments for you?
I would say just make a special time of celebrating Hanukkah. It's for the first time, kind of don't have any expectations. It's okay if it doesn't go exactly as planned, but just have a good time with your family or friends or whoever you're celebrating with, and just kind of take advantage of the special moment.
So I do want to make a comment because Caroline mentioned it, and I think Lucy alluded to it. The tradition of Hanukkah is to have many menorahs. So we have many menorahs here. It's not like the Shabbat candles that you just have a pair, the only ones you use. The more menorahs, the better. So for your first year, either make your own menorah on Breaking Matzah. I think Lucy did it if you Google it, or you go on Breaking Matzah. You can buy a menorah and have that be your menorah and light the menorah. And I would say for the first time celebrating the menorah, however you celebrate is wonderful. On the very last night, when you light all 8 candles plus the shamash, and I will say a menorah is 7 candles, a Hanukkah is 9. So that's something people a lot of times discuss. The last night, light it and sit with that light and just enjoy it. You will not believe the experience in your first time of having those 9 candles in front of you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that is all. I think we can wrap up.
That was a great question to end on. Thanks,
So
Kayla.
thank you very much. We wish everyone a very happy Hanukkah, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.